Hello everybody, welcome to Purpose People. Today I've got Maxyne Ryan with us today, who's a singer. A singer that sings professionally, corporate events, you name it, she's sung it. So welcome to the sofa.
Hello, thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, so singing.
Yes.
Most people think when you sort of like want to be a singer, the only way you can make any money out of singing is that you are on top of the pops, if the kids still watch that anymore, if it even exists. But the point is that, to be a professional singer, people just pigeonhole it into, I need a record deal and so on and so forth. So can you explain a little bit your journey so people can get a feel for that might not be the only route?
Well, I'd say the main way that I earn my money today is through like live events.
Yeah.
So like you just said, corporate events, weddings, parties, that sort of thing. And I've never had a record deal, even though, I don't know, about 20 years ago, that was a route that I tried to go, but it didn't, that didn't come to light. But that doesn't mean that you can't not be a singer. You can't not sing professionally. You can't not, do these wonderful live things that I love doing. I'm a live musician, so I love performing live. The key thing for me is live events, real musicians, and performing live. That's what I do today. And I came to it quite late. I came to performing quite late. So I didn't even know I could. So it's not something I've been doing since I was a kid. Yeah. It was something that I sort of realised that I wanted to do when I was 25. So that's quite late. And I think in pop terms, you're well over the hill then.
Yeah, the career's over at 25.
So can you imagine what it is now, So, it was quite late that I realised that is what I wanted to be.
And how did you realise? Was it like someone heard you singing and go, hey, you should get on stage?
Well, actually, believe it or not, it was my brother. When I was about 17 or 18, he used to say to me, you've got a really nice voice. And I would just, I don't know, I didn't really think anything of it. And then in my early 20s, I started doing some personal development, and I just started sort of looking within and asking all these questions of myself, like why? And then I came into this... the question of what is my purpose in life. So I'm talking, this is like 30 years ago. This is before, it's quite trendy now, these words, if you like. But 30 years ago, it was quite a thing, I suppose, to be involved in personal development and having these questions asked, So I started working on myself, started doing some inner work, and there was this psychologist that used to put on workshops all over the world. He's based in Hawaii. And I did some in England, and then I went to Hawaii for 2 weeks. And a few days before I flew out, it just went bing, and I just thought, I'm going to be a singer.
Wow.
And then the journey started from there.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I often think, people that are in tune with themselves, it's normally sort of like the mid-20s where you begin to ask those questions. For me, I was like 27 where I kind of had my big, this is not the way it should be. I need to do this differently. I've talked about the 27 Club. Some people don't get that far. They hit 27 and, eject Earth, where they've had it all as singers or stars, and that's still not enough, and they can't figure out why, and sadly they're no longer here. But the point of it is that you say it's quite trendy. I think the thing that's accelerated that trendiness, so to speak, is COVID, because people were forced to stop. And then they were like, do I really want to go back to doing it when things turn back up? And they're like, well, no, I don't. And some people that had given their lives to a corporate company for 25 years, for example, realised that they were expendable, and do they really want to spend the rest of their life putting their life on hold for a much bigger purpose in life? So I think for yourself, discovering that early on is a gift in a way to yourself, that you found at 25, actually, I could make a living out of doing something I enjoy.
It wasn't until, that's when I first decided that is what I wanted to do. So it wasn't until quite a bit later on that I actually started making money, being a professional.
But you're on the road, right?
Some people, absolutely.
Yeah. So for some people, spend all their lives trying to figure that one out. So I'm saying it's good to know, because there's two things. One is to discover purpose, and then there's the second thing is build a life around it. And the building life around it does take time, because you've got to change.
Absolutely. And have an income and support yourself whilst you're figuring that other thing out.
Which
I did for many years. And a lot of musicians do this, is where you have your job, your bread and butter job, where you have to, pay the bills and your mortgage and all of those things. And it can fund your passion, your purpose, your creative desires, if you like. And I did that for many, many years. And I've had, really responsible jobs and always sang on the side.
That's an interesting one. So when you were doing that, because I talk about that with some creatives, for example, they can't get their head round that. Because I said to them, look, you might work in, say, a supermarket and you're stacking shelves, but if you want to be a photographer, that's what you are.
Yes.
This is just a means to an end to get there. And I find some people, they're like, well, no, but I'm stacking shelves. Yeah, but you're still a photographer.
Yeah.
And it's to make that transition. Did you manage to keep that I'm a singer and I'm now doing a job to get there? Did you manage to have that conviction?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
And because I had gigs at the weekend, so it was kind of like that was the proof to me, that I really am doing it. But I actually started off in gospel choirs.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so that's where it all started for me, because I wanted to. I didn't look. I had no idea where I'm talking.
You're rapping now.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. I can do it all. It's like this is only looking back. I didn't know this is how my journey would go. So, it started off in gospel choirs. So I decided I wanted to sing. And then I started doing all these sort of like open mics. I did some demos and stuff like that, which was great.
Yeah.
And then I went to this place in Covent Garden called City Lit, and they did like these gospel workshops. So I started doing them. Oh, and before all of that, in my teens and 20s, I was a party animal, shall we say?
Yeah.
So a big part of my journey is stopping that as well. So I stopped drinking and everything that goes with drinking when I was 31.
Right. Okay.
So even though up until that point I was still doing all these bits and pieces, it wasn't until I decided that I really did need to stop drinking, because I was a binge drinker.
Yeah.
So I stopped binge drinking, and then from then, that's when everything completely changed. Then everything just started taking off. So I started doing gospel workshops at City Lit, got involved in a couple of gospel choirs, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
Oh, and to sing in a gospel choir with all those harmonies. To me, it was just like God going, or heaven going, cooey.
Yeah.
Yoo-hoo.
Yeah.
Hello, So that was beautiful. I enjoyed all of that. And then I started getting into, quite a few years on, then I started getting into jazz and going to jazz jams, and it just all blossomed from there.
Can't
really.
say jazz without wanting to point to the camera and go, nice. No.
Yeah. There you go.
So from your perspective, it's an interesting one, because you said like you found out what your purpose was, and then was this transition of a way of living life.
Yes.
And funnily enough, when I think back to my journey, I found out what I wanted to do at 27, but it was about 4 to 5 years later where, again, binge drinking, partying, that sort of stuff, where I'd come to that conclusion. I maybe came to the conclusion at 27, but by about 30, 31, it was like I'd stopped drinking. It just doesn't add any value to my life whatsoever, apart from making really bad decisions that cost a lot of money
and hangovers
and stuff like that. But the point of it is, it's almost like when you commit to purpose, a lot changes.
Yeah.
It's not just like one thing; a lot changes, but enable you to live a much richer life or richer experience. So now, surely the practicalities of drinking and singing is not great for your voice anyway. So. From your perspective, you've made that big sort of like switch off and change, and then you found yourself singing in gospel choirs. So, and then you end up being the sole person of attention. How did that work? How did that transition go from being in a choir and then you take the stage on your own?
it's just something that just sort
Just
of
evolved over time.
really.
Yeah.
And I suppose it had a lot to do with me gaining confidence, because the more I sang, the more confident I became, and that I wanted my own ensembles, which is what I have now. And this has taken time, you know. This has taken over. We're talking a journey of over 20 years.
Yep.
So this isn't. All this has really taken a long time, and also my inner confidence has taken a huge amount of time. You know, when I think back to my 20s, I was absolutely riddled with self-loathing, full of it. And that takes such time to unravel and accept and forgive, and, you know, just this whole spiritual journey that's been going on underneath it. So what you see on the front is someone who, you know, wanted to be a singer, goes to gospel choirs, then goes to study some jazz at weekends, has a responsible job, gets some ensemble. That's what you see on the surface. But underneath, I was going through this massive spiritual awakening that allowed all of that to happen on the surface, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. So, do you mind going there?
Not at all.
So where that began then, was it when you were at school? Did you think be a bit bigger purpose-wise, or
what, in terms of spirituality?
Yeah, spirituality, or
all right.
Or
so, we're going to go there, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to use this in a very broad term. So when I say the word God, it's like I use it in a very broad sense. So for me, it's that beauty that I see out that window right now, the sun, the sky, the greenery, doing the next right thing.
Yeah.
Good, being honest, beautiful relationship. You know, that's my term of it. A good force within the cosmos.
Yeah, okay.
That's my understanding of it.
Yeah.
You know, I respect all religions, the little that I know, and I was brought up a Catholic, so I'm not necessarily talking about a religion here when I say that.
Yeah.
So I'm saying in a broad term, a force for good. So I had that growing up, even though I was brought up Catholic, and my nana used to take me to mass and stuff. So the God thing, that never scared me in any way, shape or form, my understanding of it, or a higher power, shall we say. Yeah. So there's that. But then when I, in my 20s, something definitely started to change. And the turning point was when I started doing these like transformational workshop with this particular psychologist called Chuck Spezzano. I don't know if I should mention names or not, but
that's fine.
General terms. Okay, so with this particular psychologist who specialises in relationships, and there's a book called The Course in Miracles, and, you know, anyway. So that started it then, and then obviously I went through a whole process of cleaning my act up, and you know, and then it just went on from there, really. Yeah,
and I think there's that aspect of, you know, like creativity, where you are tuned into something bigger than yourself. You know, like you'll hear someone that's writing a piece of music, and they go, there I was, and I was playing around with it, and then it just came to me. Yeah. Or I just heard it. Yeah. And so for me, just in that alone, they can't describe what it is or where it's coming from, but it says that there is something bigger, that you can catch a song and you can bring it in. And it's like, it's not something that we intuitively, you know, press two feet, oh, that's it. It's not mechanical like that. It's almost like you catch it and you hear it first, and then you bring it into the reality. That's how I see it. You know, and I think for me, I was on that journey. I sort of grew up in church or whatever, and I just felt different things, and I just want to go, you know what, I'm just going to go and try and make my life for myself. And eventually I come back to it around about sort of like 27, 28. And, you know, and now I'm in tune with it, you know, and my life is definitely much richer for it. But in terms of the creativity of music and creativity of seeing what's out there in the world or whatever, you know, surely that's super close to it's not too hard to make the next step for spirituality when you're very creative, I don't think, anyway. Because you're used to that tuning in, getting into the zone type stuff. Yeah. Tick, tick, tick. Tick, tick, tick. So what would you say, because one of the things you talk about is confidence. Yes. And with a singer or a performer, that's a big thing. So, and obviously you've made what most people would say gives you confidence, which is having a few drinks or whatever, and then I'm ready. And then you remove that. That now you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable place. How did you make that transition?
See, I don't see that as vulnerable. I don't see that
No,
as
it's
being
good.
in a
It's good to
vulnerable
say,
place.
'cause
To me,
people would say that,
that's
right?
when my power, my strength is, and I feel very at home when I'm performing.
Do you?
It's almost like I'm at home.
So when did you first feel that? How did you make that link?
Do you know what? I was actually performing at the Palladium as a duo. I did this thing, it was this charity thing. I did this duo at the Palladium. And listen, I'm not saying beforehand I wasn't nervous, because I was having to do yogic breathing exercises in the back. Like before I went out there. And I remember calling my brother beforehand, and he was just like, you're going to nail it, don't worry. But, beforehand, I'm not saying I don't get nervous, I do. And I still do. But then when I'm out there and I'm on, then I'm usually good to go, providing I'm prepared. And that is the key. If I'm not prepared, it could be a car crash.
But what I find quite interesting is that some of the best speakers in the world or best performers in the world always get nervous before they go.
Yeah.
As in the fact that they don't take it lightly. And it's an element, and it's also an element of they actually care.
Yeah.
Because I think if you don't have that, it's like, well, then it's all about you, right?
Yeah.
But you're going there, you want people to enter the realm in one place, like, Palladium or whatever it is, and leave somewhere else and think, well, that was a brilliant night that I actually had. And I think whether you're a speaker, whether you're a podcaster, whatever you are, there's that element of, I want to leave transformed. And if there's that sense of nervousness, that for me is a sign that you actually care about your audience.
100%.
And that for me is a thing that sets people apart, because you can have a gift and you can be responsible for it, or you could be irresponsible for that gift. And I think if you haven't got that sense of, I'd rather someone else did it now, even though you do it, and the minute you open your mouth and then you're in the zone, I still get like that now. Whenever I go up to speak, or even the podcast, here we go again, looking down the barrel of the camera. There's always an element of, I'd rather not do it, but I've got to do it because there's an audience that I believe we've got something to say. So that's why I do it. But in terms of your career, so you go from this thing of, you've given up all this sort of stuff. You're now starting to perform. You talk about the Palladium and stuff. When did the penny drop, or how did the penny drop where you could actually make some money from it?
Right. So I had these sort of two things going on at the same time. So I had quite a responsible job in education. So I had a leadership position in education for quite some time. And that was, so I was single, I'm not married, got no kids, all of my money was going for me. Yeah. That's fine. I worked for it, so that's fine, And I did that, as in got my everything paid for and then some, so that's good. And then performing at the weekends. Yeah. And I did that for quite some time, and that was a wonderful life. I'd orchestrated that, or me and the powers that be had orchestrated that after a lot of inner work. Didn't just happen. But then it got to a point where I just felt like I was going round in circles, and I just thought, I can't keep doing this. And then I wanted to study at Guildhall School of Music and Drama, which is one of the most prestigious conservatoires, shall we say, in the world. I think it's top 5 in the world at the moment. Just thought, put that in. Bit of gravitas. And I really wanted to go there. And I just thought to myself, I'm going to do it. Now, bearing in mind, I don't read or write music. So I had to do it all with these bad boys. And I'm still, I can get around a chart and stuff now, but it's, a lot of enthusiasm and passion got me through that course. So I studied 2 years there at Guildhall. So I resigned from my job, my well-paid job, big security and all the rest of it, which I did love and enjoy. I did. But I just knew there was something, I have a different calling, a different calling.
And that's it. Sometimes we go, well, the other journey is the evil journey. It's not necessarily the wrong thing, but it's possibly the wrong thing from you.
Yes.
In terms of you have a talent that you need to maximise. Yeah. And if you're not maximising it, sometimes things conspire where you've got to choose, which is where you ended up with yourself.
It got to that point because, like, energy-wise, energy wise, I was getting to it was just too much, because jobs like that, they take you. It's not just a 9 till 5. It's evenings, weekends, leading 100%. A team. No, I didn't teach. I was head of a service.
Right. Okay. Yep.
So over 3 sites and a large team, and it was a lot, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
But then doing gigs and stuff at the weekend on top of that, it got to the end, I was thinking something's got to give, because energy wise, I can't keep doing it. So I did. I applied to go to Guildhall. I got in, did that for 2 years. And when I came out, COVID. Ouch.
Yeah.
Yikes. There was that. And then, so now the last sort of couple of years, I just feel like it's all kicking in again.
Yeah.
It's all kicking in terms of the gigs that I do. So I've got various ensembles, like duo, trio, quartet, jazz, soul. I get bookings for those. And I'm sort of diversifying. So I do vocal workshops now. I do a vocal workshop in a college, and also for like well-being, looking to going more into corporates.
Yep.
In 1 hour, I can teach a song and you'll feel better.
Ah, cool.
And written an online course called Musicians Essentials, and it's for aspiring musicians, not teaching them how to sing, but the professionalism that is required if you want to get booked and provide a service. So say, for instance, like weddings, private parties, corporate events, it's that side of things, like being professional. Check the postcode, make sure you talk to the client, make sure you get feedback from the client, make sure your outfit's done the night before. Do you know, maybe to you and I it's just common sense, but young, people that are just leaving college or university, if that's not been covered in, they're not going to know, because it might just be a case of, but I'm going there to express my art. Well, not in those situations, you're there to provide a service.
And that's ultimately what it is, isn't it? You're being booked to deliver as part of a much bigger picture.
There you go.
Like at a wedding, you're being booked to sing, but you're not the main gig, right? There's 2 people that are the main gig, you know. So you've obviously, with COVID then, so you must have been faced with, do I go back to what I know, or do I keep pushing this? What made you choose keep pushing this as opposed to going back to what you know? Okay,
well, during COVID, obviously we were all
lockdown.
We're all in lockdown. But, the human spirit is an incredible thing, because even in lockdown, did you get involved in Clubhouse? Did you ever go on Clubhouse?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
So every week on Clubhouse, I used to do this show on a Sunday night.
Did you?
Yeah, my friend Dave used to come round to my house, and we illegally met up, and he would do a duo, and I would literally sing into my phone every Sunday.
It's mad, because every time you mention Clubhouse, anyone that knows all remembers it. Well, everybody was on Clubhouse for hours trying to connect with humans.
Yes.
And, a lot of us now have probably moved on from Clubhouse, but there was that period of time where everybody was on it at
about
some
a year.
point. Yeah, it was an incredible tool, I think, at the time.
Yes.
Obviously, Twitter now have got Spaces. Right. I think Facebook do something now, and even LinkedIn are starting to do something similar. Yeah. So in the middle of that, then you're obviously still doing it. So if you're doing that every single week, that obviously was taking you closer to, I'm going to do this, I can make an impact. And I think that for me, you end up with this aspect of conviction over circumstance. And I think you're in a circumstance that could have dissuaded you from going down this route, but it looks like the conviction that you carried was like, no, I'm still going to do it anyway. It was just, I'm biding my time until I can get out there.
I'm 100% clear that
this is it.
This is what this is all about, and that. So I might get diverted, I might get slightly dissuaded, I might get tired, I might get, but there's no veering off anywhere. This is it. Yeah. This is the path I'm on.
No, it's amazing.
There's no question about it here. Why would I do all of that? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Why would I do all of that? Get clean and sober, leave a well-paid permanent job. This is. And
that's what I like about it is that, like you know what it is. You've gone all in. There's no other option. Yeah. I'm in it, and you can see that in the way that you talk. Like, this is me. This is who I am. So you don't really. Essentially, you have a brand, but the brand is you. The brand is, this is what I'm going to do. So what would you say to some people then who were thinking about getting a career in music? What would you you know, like let's say you speak to your younger self, would you have told your younger self to do it sooner, or would you say no, it's all of this was part of the journey?
I wouldn't have been ready earlier on because I was too insecure.
Yeah.
Even though you might not, well, actually, if you understand human behaviour, you'd have seen right through it because it's all bravado. But I was too insecure, and I just feel as I'm getting older, my inner security is getting more grounded. Yeah. And I actually do know it's not about me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it might have been born out of maybe an influence of ego, shall we say? Yeah. But then as I get older, I don't really want it to be like that. It's about hopefully raising vibrations, hopefully other people enjoying themselves, not just through me performing, but also doing like the vocal workshops and stuff that I do. I'm so shocked at how rewarding that is.
But it's because you're seeing your gift making a significant impact.
100%. And the people that come into the session, they leave feeling different. And I just think my work is done.
Well, that's
for
it.
That hour, my work is done.
But there are few people that tune into that and going, right, this is my work and this is the impact I'm going to have. And not everybody leans into it. And it's like you said, no, this is what I'm going to do. This is all about impact. Yeah. And you actually see it.
Yeah. And so feel it and hear it.
What's the nicest thing anybody said then about you?
Oh, God. Well, funnily you should say that, because I was encouraged to do this thing called an evidence folder.
Yep.
And it's where it's where you keep in one place, you know, the positive feedback you get, the reviews that you get, you know, comments and whatnot you get. And I think most probably just in terms of the workshop, just at how quickly and easy people feel comfortable and confident enough to sing, even if they've never sang, because it's fun and it doesn't matter. Just sing, just sound. Yeah. You know. Yeah.
So I like the concept of evidence folder, because I like, one of the things that I'm really bad at is win. Like celebrating the wins. I'm always on to the next thing. So I've completed it, I'm done, right, I'm on to the next thing. And someone said, no, you need a wins register so you can look back and then you can go, well, you did it then, and you did it then, and you did it then. I've got better at it, and it's probably more mental than me writing it down or having it on the fridge or anything, but it's to learn to log those victories, like, so for instance, if someone says, that was a really good song that I love the way you made me feel, then you log that and there's evidence that yes, I can sing. So when someone says, oh, I didn't like you go, well, actually I've got a folder this deep with people that say otherwise. It's probably got more to do with you than me, so rather than it knock your confidence, it just pushes you back to go, well, let's look at the evidence.
Yeah, and I think that's very important, because it's so easy and you think about how disrespectful it is to the person who paid you a compliment. How utterly disrespectful is it to all of those people that celebrate you in whatever way, and you're, dismiss. And I bet, and I do this as well, I'm getting better, but you don't, but the one thing you focus on is well, why did that person say that? Do you know what I mean? And it's insane. And I'm just not signing up for that, It's like I will now celebrate the good stuff. Not that I get a lot of negatives, I don't, not really. Yeah. But it's like, it's very important, and it's important that I respect that person. It's like, imagine if I came to you and said, Daryl, that podcast was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. I felt so relaxed. Yeah. It was such a lovely conversation. All this came from it. Oh my God, you're a lovely hug. Thank you. It's brilliant. And then you just totally dismiss that.
Yeah.
It's really disrespectful. Yeah. So that's my stand on that now.
So we talk about music, and obviously music has a great a great link between memories. So like, if you hear a song, it casts you straight back to that particular memory. You must have songs in your life where you've hung on to over a period of time. Yeah. So, what songs have stood out for you?
God, the one that I love, and I cannot even begin to tell you how much should be hundreds of thousands of times, Me and Mrs. Jones. I just love that song. I just love it. It's so beautiful.
And what is it that you got from it? Did you listen to it in tough times? Did it elevate?
I just love it. I just love the song. I love maybe not the content, obviously, because I think ultimately they're talking about having an affair. So I don't condone that. But I just love it. I just love it. I love the production. I love the singer, and I believe Quincy Jones produced it. So it's just I just love it. That's one of them. And there's loads of dance tracks, there's jazz tracks. I used to love listening to Sade. That'd be my ultimate to making. She's made a bit of a comeback with her Formula One driver, isn't it? Really?
So a Formula One driver, I think it's Charles Leclerc. I think he's driving a car, and he starts singing "I'm a Smooth Operator," and it's gone all around the internet. And they said you can't do that because if you sing it, they got to pay royalties. So he's joking now, going "Smooth Operator," and then you can hear the people on the radio go,
I see.
So it's quite funny, but everyone's like, what is this Smooth Operator? Yeah. And that's the only major song I know of Sade.
Oh my gosh, she was amazing.
My wife loves Sade.
Yeah, so, beautiful. Yeah. Just like that, I'd kind of like smooth jazz. That'd be my ultimate. That's like the next step for me.
Is it?
I would love to be able to create an album like that, just like really easy listening.
What's
jazz.
Stopping you?
Oh no, nothing's stopping me. It's just working with the right producer.
Is that out next year?
Yeah. Shout out to
anyone out there.
Any really wonderful songwriters. I can write lyrics, I can sing, and I perform, and I've got a great stage presence. But in terms of actual songwriting, I need help with that. So I'd like to co-write.
I know a few people.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I know a few people. Some are in this room. I'm not saying,
Jazz?
I think
like smooth jazz?
I don't know. They're smooth.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm putting it out there.
Put it out there. No, but you never know.
You never know.
Someone's listening and going, hey. I want to.
She's just the woman for me.
That's it. There she is.
Exactly. We could do an album as well.
I'm writing all these songs, but I've got nobody to promote it.
Exactly. I need these
lyrics.
like really sultry vocals on the top. Yeah. There she is. That's me.
But that's the thing. Just put it out there and let's see what happens. So you got a song. What's the song that sort of like makes you feel the most motivated?
Oh, that's a very good question. What's the song that makes me feel motivated?
Like that.
Yeah.
Get up and.
I know. I tell you what, because I like feeling like this. So a lot of my songs make me feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to what really makes me feel motivated. I mean, I used to go raving and stuff like that. So I like a lot of the sort of 90s.
Dancey.
Yeah, the 90s. The 90s stuff and the house stuff. But a song that makes me feel motivated. Do you know what? I can't. Let me think. I'll come back. Yeah.
Yeah, because the reason I bring it up is that music, I believe, is quite underplayed. Yeah. Working in brand and working with production and doing a lot of video stuff, you can put a track to something and it can project a feeling, and then you can put a different track and it can present a completely different feeling. And I think often as sort of storytellers, you underestimate the power of sound and underestimate the power of music. And getting the right track is difficult. And we often find you stuck there with stock music because it's just very bland and very whatever. And we were quite fortunately involved in a documentary where we actually had to write the track, and the team put together an amazing track, and it fit the whole documentary really, really well. And it was at the end of that when we saw the whole thing played, and we actually sat in a theatre in Mayfair. And Spot the sound guys, we were all sat right in the middle. So not the front, not the back, right in the middle, so we got the perfect sound. And it just works, with the actual piece. It's called Dare to Hope, and it's the name of the documentary. If you go on Nikon's website, it's there, and the soundtrack's on the back of it, which we wrote. And it was just that thing of when you get the right track with the right visual, it takes you there. You're moved by the subject matter. And I think it's music has, performing in a live environment. There has this, I've seen people like Hans Zimmer now. It's gone from behind the screen to now on stage with the videos up on screen, and he's playing because it's a big component of storytelling. So I'm starting to see this whole thing of, people are not making as much money off like a recording artist now, and they're looking for different ways. And one of the ways I've seen is that transition between the music tracks now going into film. or TV or documentaries, and then they're actually performing to it, which is a big shift. So I think live has definitely made a comeback, big time, obviously because of COVID, but live has definitely made it, because ultimately that's how we should really experience music.
I think we need it. Our souls need it. I feel very passionate about live music. It's so important in our culture to have live music.
And I think other cultures, it's embedded. Whereas in the British culture, it's almost like we're too reserved.
Well, I don't even know if it just feels like somehow live music is somehow being pushed out of our society. Because you think you would, I don't know, in the 80s or before you had to have a license to have live music, live music was everywhere.
Yeah.
And I get that there is positives to make sure, obviously, that the songwriters get their money and it's sent to PR, and you've got to write your song, what songs you're going to use and all that. I do understand the positive side, but I don't know, I just think live music is so important. And that is actually my vision strapline, sharing the joy, power and importance of live music. That is my vision.
Yeah,
so,
and I agree. I think live music for me is, it's, you can listen to it, but actually being there at a venue, at a concert, the crowd and all that sort of stuff. My daughter's a major Taylor Swift fan, but she's just doing a tour, but you can see that it's the crowd, it's the camaraderie, everyone's singing the song together. I think Coldplay do it very well as well, where it's an event.
Absolutely.
It's an event. Live music is an event. It shouldn't just be in your earpods and that's it,
But it's what the musicians and the singers are transmitting. It's
what
they're transmitting. There's nothing as beautiful, precious, sacred as seeing a musician play exquisitely. And he's gone, or she is gone. And they're just a conduit for the music to come out. That's what I believe.
What's your favourite genre?
Oh, there's so many. If you want to go out clubbing and raving and all that, then it's dance. I have so many. I love reggae. I love bossa nova. I love jazz. I love, great American songbook. That's the sort of stuff that I do really. So I kind of like pop jazz, if you like. Not. I don't necessarily do contemporary jazz. Soul, old soul, neo soul. I like it all. Anything that's good, and I can even hear something, think that's really good musically. It's not my cup of tea, but I can hear it's really good music. Yeah. But it's just not my cup of tea. But yeah.
And obviously you perform with a lot of musicians over the time. Yep. So, is there anyone that stands out, a musician or anyone you want to give a shout out that you'll enjoy working with?
Oh, well, I've got my sort of faithfuls that I work with. So I've got Nick Cooper, who's a wonderful jazz musician. We've been performing together many, many years, lots of different events together. He's a great jazz pianist. And Dave Vitale, who's wonderful. He's who hasn't he worked with? Put it that way, Dave. Right. And we do a lot of gigs together. So I've got. I'm sorry if I've left anyone else out, but there's a I don't know, maybe about 10 musicians that I work with regularly, depending on what the event is and what the lineup is. So sometimes it's just I get booked as a duo, sometimes it's a trio, sometimes it's a quartet, sometimes it's background, sometimes it's main. So I choose different people for different events. But I've got about 10 solid musicians that I know are super professional, excellent musicians, just turn up early, do the gig, really easy to work with, smart, bye, next one. That's all you want. And you can have fun on the event. Yeah. Just real consummate professionals, which is really important when you're out doing events. Remember, all your clients can leave reviews.
Of course.
But not that's it. It's really important to me that we add value. And people are like, oh my God, the music was fantastic, That's like another tick. My work is done.
So in terms of the different events and stuff that you do, what type of events do you do? You mentioned corporates. Is that like just share?
Okay. So we do weddings. So I personally love singing someone down the aisle. I love it. I love that moment of complete silence, that millisecond when you go, and you got to go. Oh, that's like.
You love that.
I love that. I love doing that. So we get weddings and also background for weddings, like wedding breakfast and stuff like that. Or more what I call shake your tail feather for weddings, where it's like a full band and they want people up and dancing.
Yeah.
So it's all of those. Corporate events is, well, any corporate event that requires live music. Again, it can be background, where it might be a drinks reception, say, a really chic jazz trio, you know, the double bass, and me Boo Boo be doing in the background.
Yeah.
And that, again, you know, awards ceremonies, drinks reception, just anything corporate. We've done a lot of work in the City of London for livery companies.
Okay.
So when I was at Guildhall, I used to get booked quite a lot for those. So, you know, like the black tie events in the old, I don't know if you've been to those old places in the city. It's like just a door, and you think nothing can behind that door. Then you walk in, and it's like, oh my goodness, you know, these incredible spaces, you know.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of those, which I enjoyed doing.
Okay.
And private parties, so garden parties, just any parties. Yeah.
So it's quite varied, quite interesting.
Yes.
Do you have a busy time? Is it like really busy because of the summer, or is it?
There are usually peaks in the summer and around Christmas, so
Right.
because of wedding season. So usually May to September is when there's an uptick because it's wedding season, and then like December onwards, because of all the Christmas parties and stuff.
So apart from recording your album,
yes.
What does the future look like? What else does the future hold for you?
Okay, well, I really would love to do that. Oh, and I've just got to mention this group that I started listening to. There's this song called "Can I Call You Rose?" Have you heard it?
Who's it by?
I think they're called We Three Souls. Oh no, The Sacred Souls.
Okay.
The Sacred Souls.
Okay.
And they're like this old. Well, when I first heard it, I thought, who the heck's this? I've not heard of this. This is like a 60s classic. And I like all of that old 60s, 70s, 80s classic. And no, it's like 3 years ago. So why am I saying that? Because I love it. So, yeah, they're really good. So an album, something similar to that.
Yep.
Definitely. And as I said, I've got an online course for aspiring musicians that focuses on the professionalism, to be professional, specifically for events. Not about getting record deals or anything like that, because I don't know about that. I don't. But I do know about live events and how to be professional, and most importantly, getting rebooked. Yeah, okay. And getting a good reputation.
Yeah.
So there's that. To continue doing my workshops, my vocal workshops, which I love. Just get people singing.
Yeah.
And my one-to-one coaching in terms of, not, as I said, not necessarily teaching people to sing, because there are far better teachers out there. That's not my bag. I don't want to do that. Yeah. But it's more to do with if you've got an audition coming up, or you need help in terms of confidence building or something like that regarding your singing, then I can do that. And just more of that. They're the four main things I do. My events and those other streams to my business. So just more of that. And some public speaking. I think I'll be doing a lot more public speaking as well, because I think it's quite an interesting story, I think.
I think so. I think that's the key, because I think you are a professional singer, musician, and you are in a space that not many people consider. They almost say, well, it's a record deal or bust, so to speak. And actually you can enjoy a really good time and good career doing that. And I think it's just underrated and not talked about enough. And I think, that's a great story. But just to say how you've stumbled across it and then decided to build a life around it and say, no, this is absolutely it. There's a couple more questions I just want to ask. One is, can anyone sing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say so. There are some that may be naturally gifted.
Yeah.
And you may have to work on, different things. But I do believe everyone can sing. If you can sound, you can sing.
Yeah, it's just training, right?
Yeah, just practice.
Practice.
That's what I'd say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people go, I can't sing. I think when people say that, and I'm probably one of them, it's just an excuse to get out of singing.
Yeah. I think anyone can sing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sound. If you can speak, you can sing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the second thing I was going to ask is, out of all the things that you've done, you know, all the experiences that you had in terms of singing, what's the like the one where you just literally, if you could go back there again, you would? What one is it?
Singing Me and Mrs. Jones with a big band at Milton Hall Theatre, which is part of the Barbican.
Wow.
That was a moment.
Seems surreal.
Oh, God, it was amazing. It was so good, 17-piece. And I remember just before I went on thinking, I don't think I've ever been this present in all my life. I felt like I could have heard a pin drop in Aberdeen or something.
Wow.
You know, when you're just so like...
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, your neck, you know, and you just... It's great. Amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how would people get in touch with you, Maxyne?
Maxyne Ryan.
Yeah.
So I spell, for singing purposes, I spell Maxyne with a Y. So Maxyne Ryan. LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram.
Yeah.
TikTok. Just started doing TikTok.
Oh, have you?
Is that? Oh, and YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah. So just Maxyne Ryan, or just Google Maxyne Ryan, and then all the bits and pieces come up.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. It's been great to have you on the sofa.
you.
And just tell a little bit about your story and a bit more about how you stepped in. And, you know, if there's anyone living life on purpose, you absolutely are. So thank you for spending some time with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the Purpose People podcast. How you can help us is to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe to our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Google and Amazon. That helps us get our message out there to help people go after their dreams, double down on it, and be successful in life on their terms.